Hey, everybody. Sarita, are you in Austin?
I am not. I'm in Portland.
Oh, okay.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Power Playbooks. So happy you're here.
Hey, everybody. Coming to you from, feels like it's dark in Seattle. That's the one thing about the winter here. It's like noon and I look out my window and it literally feels dark. Makes me rethink my life decisions, Sarita, living in the Pacific Northwest in the winter.
It's a great decision in the summer, but it certainly is cold and wet right now.
It is. Spring and summer is great. Where are y'all joining us from? Let us know and we're gonna jump in. Oh, it would help if I
Ideally.
asked that question to actually get my chat window up. All right, everybody hop on chat and let us know where you are joining us from. Sarita, what's going on? What's Power Playbooks?
Everything is awesome. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Power Playbooks. I love this Wednesday session we do it twice a month, the second and fourth Wednesday of the month. And every Wednesday, we bring on guests who are very generous with their time and talents, and they open up their playbooks. They're actually rocking their business in some element, some shape or form. And they're not only doing great, but they're willing to share so that everyone on this call can walk away with actionable nuggets, takeaways that they can apply to their business today. And with that, Via and I have been co-hosting this for, 2 Wednesdays a month for I don't know how long. It's been a while and it's been great. And I'm going to turn it over to Via, who will introduce to you our special guest this week.
Yeah, so I've been on the hunt this year for teams that are doing better this year than last year because it has been a challenging year. It's just been a challenging market. And I get that the minute I even say that, you could refute that because we create our own markets. Clear. I understand it, right? That said, I meet with teams and consult with them on the daily. And I see the P&Ls and I see, all of it. And it has been a challenging year. So Matt Chase, who is joining us from a little bit west of Cleveland, but we're going to say Cleveland. Matt, I think for all of us, we're just going to say Cleveland, Ohio, because for me,
Probably easiest.
north, south, east, or west Cleveland, you're Cleveland. What's amazing about Matt, and the reason we're gonna have him on, and I'm just gonna unpeel this onion is he is was stuck at this wonderful ceiling of like 1 million GCI. It's a great ceiling, right? That's a huge accomplishment to get to 1 million revenue. But he was at this 1 million GCI ceiling, right? And then all of a sudden this year he goes and more than doubles it. He's going to do more than 2 million this year. And what I like about your story, Matt, that we're going to dive into is there's not one drastic thing you did. It's not like you went from like 2 to 20 agents or anything like that. It wasn't that, right? So we're going to kind of dive into what in the world you have done to just crush it in a year where prices have gone down. So it's not like your volume probably went up, this is unit count increase. And welcome. I'm excited to have you.
Thanks for having me.
So when I asked you how long you've been in real estate, your answer was forever. What does forever mean? How long have you been doing this?
Well, to me, it's been forever, but almost 20 years. So, well, I say almost 20, but I got in 2007.
2007. And when did you start a team?
I started a team in 2011.
Okay. So you kind of built that up and we got to COVID. And by COVID, you had about 6 agents,
Yep.
give or take.
Yep.
Okay. So 2020. And what did you do that year as far as units and GCI, would you say?
So I'm doing all this from memory, so you can't go back and quote me on this, but I think we did about 170-ish transactions that year for about $1 million in GCI.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. About what did you do 21, 2, and 3?
Yeah, so 21, 2, and 3. Well, yeah, 20, 21, 22 were all about the same, right? We
Okay.
couldn't, and agent count didn't change much, but agents came and went. And, we were just kind of stuck there.
So you had some retention challenges because agents were coming in one door, out the back door.
Yep.
Okay. And then what in the world happened this year? Now you're up to about 12 agents and you're going to do like 2 million. So what happened?
Well, and that's when you guys invited me to come on here. I was second guessing that because there is no proven answer, any one thing to point to, like you just said, right? But I mean, I guess if I had to pick something like we talked about earlier, it's finding somebody who's actually good at operations and trusting that person to operate the team, right? And that's, I mean, that's
Matt, that is
missing that whole time.
realize that is the story here.
Right.
Like the whole arc of this is that one hire, and that's really what I want to dive into and talk about today. So how long ago was it that you hired your first, I'm going to call it your first director of operations, kind of chief admin?
So it's been about a year.
About a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just letting that sit for a minute.
Yeah, right. It all lines up, right?
Weird, isn't it? So you were at a ceiling of about 1 million with retention issues and challenges, and you finally find the right DOO, and you are going to more than double in a year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're done, everyone. Bye. Nice seeing you.
Right.
Okay, good.
Let's go.
No, but I mean it like that, and we're going to get into detail and everything, but that's the mic drop, right? That's the mic drop. It is really kind of that simple, right? So let's break that down a little bit, because that DOO hire allowed you to do certain things. What were they?
I mean, like the biggest thing it allowed me to do is actually track what it was that we were actually doing, right? And it allowed us, of course, we do that through Brivity at Place, right? And Brivity does all these great things, but I can't make it do those great things. Somebody in the operations department has to do that. And I've always, ever since, even going back to when I first started in real estate, subscribed to, you got to track what you're doing, you've got to, right, like all that stuff, right? But I couldn't do it. And so that's what she's doing.
Well, let's break this down in detail and kind of start with, so when did you join Place, by the way, in this whole process? When did Place come in?
2000, I think early 2023. So about a year and a half to 18 months.
Okay, which shouldn't surprise me, actually. That makes sense. We have an incredible, did Olivia Lazinski help you with your DOO?
Yeah.
Yeah. It all lines up so beautifully.
Well, I love how you're saying, it's like you knew that Brivity had power, but like you didn't know how to drive it, right? It's like driving a high performance Ferrari. You don't know the power that you have. And I just love that saying of, you don't know what you don't know. So you bring on an operations leader, and that power of that leader who thinks and tracks and focuses on metrics differently than you really opens up possibilities.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
and she had a corporate background too, where I've just been, in this crazy real estate game the entire time. So she came in and was like, wow, like this Brivity thing makes total sense. Place's playbook makes total sense. Like this is what she's seen for 30 years in the corporate world. And so taking the team and making it legitimate, right?
What other structure did she bring?
So one of the biggest things with production was, we've had a pretty solid core of 3 to 4 agents who have been with me for some time now, since, at least 4 or 5 years since the, as we were talking before, I sort of rebooted. I was, if you want to call it, I hate the term CEO because we don't have a board or any of that stuff, but I was CEO of a 60-person real estate team in 2018 and 19. And I split with my partner and basically just grabbed 6 people of the 60 and said, you guys are the people that I want to rebuild a business with. And here's my vision. Here's what it's going to look like. And we did that. Right. And so those 6 people turned into probably 4 constant people over the past 4 or 5 years. And they've always done a really good job. They always do between 30 and 50 transactions each. And I feel like that's where my strong suit is, obviously they're doing it, but, I'm there to support them every step of the way. And when we would recruit new people, they just kind of got lost in the fold. And so I think that's
So
where,
would you,
well, just a really
yeah,
good
keep going up.
director of operations is able to lend support to the new people and make sure that the new person is following. When we look at the prospecting wheel for place and you look at the left side, SOI, open houses, and making phone calls are the three most important things to build a new person's business. And I wasn't tracking. I was trying to track that, but I wasn't tracking it right. And when you have somebody that's just permanently in that role that understands that stuff's important and knows it's their job to track it, that's called accountability, right? And then the stuff gets done.
So what I'm hearing you say is that your DOO came in. This is the lead generation wheel that we were referring to for everybody watching. If you're driving, don't crash. But this is the lead generation wheel he's talking about. And we like to say that about 50% of your business should come from team leads, right? And team sourced business. And then about half of the agent's business should come from business that they self-generate on their own. But as a team, we give support on all sides of the wheel, right?
Right.
Yeah, especially this left side of the wheel. The idea is that being on your team, they're selling more on their self-gen side than they would on their own solo, right? And team leads is just that side is just a bonus. So when you say left side, you're talking about your DOO supporting them in their self-generation work, correct?
Yep. Just holding them accountable to it, right?
Yeah,
making sure it actually happens.
Yeah. And making sure your 36 touch is going out and that you're actually fulfilling on, those promises you're making to your agents, I would think too.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. That goes without saying. I think it's really hard to fulfill those promises that, when we get busy and we're doing so many things at once. Okay, so basically we bring this DOO in, right? And she provides the structure. She starts giving you time. I think part of what I was hearing when we were meeting earlier was that she gave you all this time to kind of coach and train your agents more. Is that fair?
Yeah. I mean, to be more available. Absolutely.
And so what did that look like? Like, what did their productivity look like last year? Like, if you look at those 3 to 4, Matt, how did their productivity increase this year with that extra time with you?
So, well, I mean, we've actually had time to do one-on-ones and things that, I'm probably like every other team leader that you talk to, that we schedule one-on-ones and then we don't do them, right?
Yeah.
And so, we've actually held to a lot of that. That they've gotten to see, I mean, having someone in that position, I think elevates everybody's thinking. So they've gotten to take a more subjective look, I guess, at the business itself to say, like, what components are we missing for them that could drive their business higher too, right? As individuals.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Did your top agents production go up this year?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'd have to really drill into that, but yes and no. I mean, some yes, some no, right? It just depends on of those 4 people. But I guess in general, yeah.
To be honest, Matt, if they even stayed pat from last year, if you ask me, that's like an increase this year based on how hard this year has been, honestly, So yeah, that's really huge. Okay. When we were talking, you also mentioned something else that you're just getting better at, with more reps, and that is hiring stronger. Can you kind of go into how your hiring has changed this past year, 18 months?
So, again, I don't have like the smoking gun here, but I guess we're not, early on when somebody wants to join your real estate team, you're super excited about that and you just take anybody. And, I think we're definitely taking a second look, having second and third interviews and things of that nature. And it's actually getting to the point, I think everybody has the script that, hey, we're only hiring one person and this is exclusive, right? Like that's that's what we all want to believe and that's what we say. But I feel like as you get more purposeful in the business, that actually becomes reality. You know, because I've gone through it. We were looking at our roster. I think we've had over like 110 people in the past 11 or 12 years on our real estate team, and we have 12 today, right? So I mean, you go through a lot of people, and that's exhausting. So you don't want to,
Yeah.
you know, what is the cost of a bad hire? You start to actually realize that.
Do you think that it's kind of a rite of passage, though, that you have to kind of go through that and fail forward a little bit?
For
You know,
me,
to
at
get to
least,
where you are.
I can't
I think
speak
for
for
most
everybody
of
else, but yeah.
Well, and I think the other side of it too is if you have a small team and you haven't grown and you haven't failed, you're probably staying safe. Like I always tell my team, you know, if you get every listing that you ever go interview for, then are you actually, you know, swinging for the curveballs, or are they all kind of fastballs down the middle? And
Right.
so either you have a roster like you did where you've sort of failed forward, or if, you know, if a team is small and has stayed small and hasn't grown, you know, are they taking the risks? Are they holding themselves back? So I think there's that piece too.
100%.
Yeah, I was at an event a few weeks ago, and Dan Beer said something that I've been quoting left and right for the last 2 weeks. And he was like, who here in the room has a Navy SEALs team, a small team where everybody or most people on the team are at a high productivity, making money and selling a lot. And, there's always a small group of people that raise their hands. And he said what I literally say to everybody, which is enjoy that moment. It's brief and it's fleeting because you've got to push through that and keep growing. Because the problem is if you have 3 or 4 agents that are carrying the team and one of them leaves, 25% of your business is out the door. And we all know they don't leave in ones for some weird reason. I don't know why.
Really multiples. Yeah.
It tends to come in 2 or 3s. And so all of a sudden one day, 30 to 50% of your business is out the door. You just can't. You've always got to be cycling people in. It just is what it is, whether you want to hear it or not. Yeah. So you're just,
Well,
I
I
think
think
you have to.
having good culture and a good director of operations kind of helps maintain that, because early on I used to ask and I still do to an extent, but if you ask your agents, should we bring on new agents? They don't want to bring anybody on, right? The answer is always no. And so, I
It
think
depends
as
how you
culture's
frame
grown,
it.
well, it's just, we start to talk about though, like, okay, so if we do bring on, 2 or 3 more people who are really good and who are really going to add to everyone's enjoyment here, like as a unit and all those things, then we can get more stuff for the team too. Whatever it is that we need is going to benefit you also, right? Because
Yeah.
we have more
Yeah,
revenue,
totally.
so then we have more to distribute on needs.
I kind of want to dive in a little bit, Matt, a little bit more because I pulled up the lead gen wheel because you brought that up. Can you dive in a little bit more into your agent productivity? Because it is really high. You're kind of in that seal. It looks like you're moving out of the seals phase, but you kind of been in that sweet spot. But when you have 3 or 4 agents selling 30 to 50 homes a year, how many are you selling a year, by the way?
Well, so I'm not selling that many. So over the past 2 years, I was selling maybe 10 a year. And
Yeah.
so I believe, earlier coaching, half a decade ago said that the goal of a real estate team was for the owner to get out of production, right? And so that's what I tried to do, and that's what I did. And, a lot of my production helped seed that top unit of people because I felt that they deserved. I mean, it was just truly like, hey, I'm busy doing all these things, whatever it is that I had myself into, and I just truly don't have time to go meet with this client. I trust you. You've earned the opportunity. Could you go handle it for me? And I mean, I guess it depends. Do we want to be on this call for the next 20 hours? And, I could really drill into that type of stuff, but it does drill into how are you maintaining your finances, because at a certain level of a team, your production, it almost doesn't matter. It's kind of demoralizing that you go out and you sell a bunch of houses, but you don't get to keep any of it because it just gets put back into the expenses of the organization, right? And so there
Is
was,
what almost all.
yeah, I just was like, well, what does it matter anyways? There's no reason for me. I'll just give away all my business because I'm not, it's just gonna, it doesn't matter. I'm not gonna be able to pull it out anyways.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys all are catching that, but for everybody watching and listening, that was a really important point, and it can get a little technical and confusing when you're talking numbers, on a webinar or a podcast. But what Matt's talking about is, the vast majority, I would say 99% of teams that come in that I end up talking to and consulting to come into place, they come in and the team owner puts 100% of their commission into the team account. And then they pull out a salary, right? And they're pulling out a salary, and they pull out an owner draw when able. Well, the reality is then they go to replace themselves. And what do they have to do when they hire other agents? They have to pay them a 50-50 split, right? Makes sense. I mean, that's what you have to do with other agents. So the problem is the financials change and the economics change because you've actually been supplementing your team. So really, the first thing I counsel everybody to do when they say they want to get out of production is to immediately start paying themselves the same split as you're paying your team. That's the first step to getting out of production, because then all of your production, you just have to replace those units. You can adjust your financials and your staffing and your overhead and your marketing and all of that to become, we want to see a 25 to 35, 40% profitability margin. That's kind of our goal. And the first step is you pay yourself 50-50 split on your own personal business. If you don't understand that, message me and we can hop on a call or a Zoom to walk through that. But it was just a really important point. I'm glad you brought it up, Matt.
Well, I think it's the hardest concept to grasp too, right? As a team leader.
Yeah, it definitely is. What is your goal for next year? Are you going to recruit? Are you going to grow any more than your now an agent count? What's next for you?
Yeah, I mean, I really want to hit the that 2.5 million GCI mark just because that's what places put in their leverage model, right? So I think we're definitely gonna run towards that, but it's also it's more than just numbers. It's helping the people that we've spoken about who are our high level people on the team, further accomplish their goals, help them invest in real estate, help them have more time on their hands, help them stabilize, their lives and all those type of things, right? That's a big goal. And then, obviously continue to grow agent count as well. I mean, I don't have a finite number. We've done all our individual agent business planning, but we haven't plugged it into the team model yet to see what our numbers are really going to shake out at here. But definitely bring in, we have 2 or 3 agents right now that we're talking very seriously with who are probably going to join in the next 30 days. And, so we're going to grow that way. We're going to grow from down up, I guess, for lack of descriptive words here. Let's go out and find more people to kind of, we have our top core of really good productive people. So I want to backfill that with people who are inexperienced and take them through the model and show them and get them up to their 24 transactions so that they can have their health insurance and they can buy stock and all those good things that we do.
Yeah. What do you wish you? Go ahead.
And I don't want to take you off on a tangent, but I think you mentioned business planning, and I think this is a great time. Business planning is kind of like New Year's resolutions for like weight loss or getting healthy, in that this is a time to look at your goals and then start thinking about what are you doing and doing well and what aren't you doing well that you should stop doing. You mentioned earlier on in the call that your director of operations was really a game changer for you with regards to tracking, and it really freed you up to coach your agents. And question is on the kind of the softer side of like culturally, did you start kind of coaching them? Like, did it come out of nowhere because you didn't have time before? Like, how did you make this sort of transition where you had more time, you were sitting down with them? Like, how does that work for someone who knows they need to coach their agents, but hasn't been doing it regularly and wants to start? Anything you can share there?
That's a good question. I mean, I don't know how to answer that.
Well, maybe I can ask, were you coaching them regularly before you got your DOO? No. Okay.
So formally, no, right? So, scheduling one-on-ones and things like that, but skipping them, but spending a lot of time I think the formalized meetings are important. That's what I'm realizing over time as we grow, is to actually make time to sit down one-on-one with somebody without distractions and all that stuff, not on the fly, because different topics can arise when you make time to do that. But I guess, throughout the course of the past 10 years, I've always spent a lot of time, you pick anybody on my team and I'll be able to tell you what are their pending transactions, where did they get that lead from, how did they negotiate the deal. I've always just been passionate about understanding their business. But
That sounds great.
moving forward, just being more formal and purposeful with it.
Yeah. And the reason I asked that, it's like some agents are excited to have access to their team leader, and others feel like, hey, you're micromanaging me, let me just be, And so it's a cultural shift if you're not used to having your team leader saying, hey, let's sit down weekly, let's look at your numbers, and we should all be doing it, but it's something that some people don't like as much hands-on. So just curious how it worked for you guys.
Yeah.
What do you wish you would have done sooner, Matt? Kind of given that you were, again, I want to honor your ceiling. I mean, $1 million GCI is great business, right? But that said, it was a ceiling. What do you wish you would have done sooner?
I mean, hired more staff sooner, right? I mean, I was always so afraid to spend money. And just actually, right? Just following even the MREA and just doing it the right way.
The Millionaire Real Estate Agent is what you're referring to, the book, by Gary Keller. It's a great book. And what you're referring to is that they recommend your first hire is actually an admin, not an agent. And which is counterintuitive.
Right.
Because it costs you money. Yeah. Like
doesn't
an agent
feel
brings
right.
you. Mhm.
It feels like, well, let me get another agent, then I'll hire admin, and then let me get 2 more agents, and then I'll hire admin, and then let me get 2 more agents after that. It's always, at least for me, I always found a reason to push it out. And also, I mean, I guess, now that I'm thinking about it, is spending more money than you were comfortable with, because for me, it was okay, I'll take a chance and I'll hire somebody, but I'm only going to look to hire at this level salary, right? Instead of let's hire at twice that level of salary and get somebody who is 3 times or 4 times as skillful, right? It's the two are not tied together necessarily. There's a lot more efficiency to hire somebody who's really worth it.
So what advice would you have for someone who's watching or listening to this, who's at their ceiling, and maybe they have an admin, right? Maybe they have an admin. Do you have any advice for them, as to why they're not looking like they're doubling this year?
I mean, I guess just have a standard and hold to it, right? I mean, Place has the standard that we should be following that prospecting wheel. We should our agents should sell 1 to 3 homes on their own through Sphere open houses and making phone calls. And I think, when other team owners call me for advice, or agents, or any just agent conversations through recruiting, whatever it is, where I'm in front of somebody who's trying to run a business, I think they're always looking for a shortcut. And there is no shortcut. They're always, what can I buy to solve this problem? What lead source is the best lead source? There aren't, right? Like, when's the best time to call a lead? The best time to call a lead is when you call the lead. It doesn't matter, right? 5:00 p.m. or noon or 8 a.m. or whatever, right? Like, none of that matters. It's just stop trying to find a shortcut.
Yeah. I got in the office this morning, and my team started trickling in, and it was funny. And by 11 a.m., there's like 6 of them in here. And I looked around, I'm like, it is the 6 that are selling homes. They are who's here every day. And I can hear them on the phone, prospecting, talking about close and joking around, then going back to prospecting. And, those are the ones that are gonna, the other ones won't make it. Just the way it is.
Well, success is boring, right? Consistency doesn't look real.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, anything, Matt, any advice you want to leave everybody with? Any last final words? You've had a huge year. Congratulations, my friend. That's incredible. What do you want to share with all these team owners that are listening to you right now?
I guess I would say just for me is, everyone is like, well, I'm going to double my business and I'm going to double my business and I'm going to double it again. And for me, I just feel like it doesn't work. That I feel like obviously 2 million or 2.5 million or 3 million in GCI, those are big numbers, right? But I don't think you go from 2.5 million to 10 million. I think that you should figure out how to be super profitable where you're at first and foremost. And then, just run a really good business, have a good culture. And for me, buy investment properties, like be profitable and get that money out of your business and park it somewhere else that's everlasting. Because for me, that's taking a lot of stress out of my world.
Yeah, that's so well said, Matt. So, so well said. Well, we appreciate you. How can everyone get a hold of you if they have any referrals for Cleveland?
Well, I guess just call me, right? My
All right,
cell
what's your
phone
number?
is 440-452-2000, and that is my real cell phone. I had a friend who worked at a cell phone store when I was 16 years old, and he got me that number.
That is a great number. That's fantastic. Yeah, yeah. All
One of
right.
the, I was just going to plug our next session, but go ahead. Yeah, I didn't want to cut you
Yeah,
off.
go ahead. Go ahead. I don't
Well, I
even
was
know
just
our
going to
next
say, well, one of my ahas is whether you have the right person in operations or not, we have great intentions, but if we're not in the right seat on our bus, we're going to get distracted. So everyone stay in their strength zone, and our strength zone's production and coaching agents so that other people can do the things they need to do. And that's such a great reminder. And so what I want to do is remind everyone that we don't have a call in 2 weeks because of Thanksgiving. So our fourth Wednesday of November is a bye week due to Thanksgiving. And our next Power Playbooks, mark your calendar, is going to be Wednesday, December 11th. We've got a great topic we're working on. We'll be announcing it shortly, but the next call is Wednesday, the 11th.
That is going to be on Wednesday, the 11th, I believe, is recruiting.
Yeah, perfect.
And we might have Ben on. I'm working with him to check dates. Not sure yet.
Perfect. Matt, thank you for your time today and your inspiration. I'm excited to kind of look at my business differently and not be afraid of growth, because that's what we all need to do.
Thanks for having me on.
Congrats, Matt. Really awesome. Really great this year. Appreciate you. All right, everybody. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.